Taxes, the cost of civilization. Imagine you've just finished a long, grueling month at work. You've put in the hours, and finally, your digital pay stub arrives. It says you've earned $2,000, but when you check your bank account, you see only $1,456. That missing chunk? That's the reality of taxes. It's easy to feel frustrated when your hard-earned money vanishes into the hands of invisible forces, but there is a bigger picture. Taxes are essentially the membership fee for living in a civilized society. This money builds the roads you drive on, funds the schools in your neighborhood, ensures the food you buy is safe to eat, and maintains national defense. There are three main types of taxes you need to know: income tax, which hits the money you earn; sales tax, which hits the money you spend; and capital gains tax, which is a cut the government takes from your investment profits. On top of that, you have mandatory contributions like Social Security and Medicare. Think of these not just as costs, but as a form of forced savings designed to provide a safety net for your healthcare and retirement in the future. Banks, the financial matchmakers. Most people think of a bank as a giant high-tech safe where their money sits untouched, guarded by a vault. But in reality, once you hand your cash to the teller, that money is almost immediately gone. Banks don't just guard money, they are middlemen in a system called fractional reserve banking. When you deposit $1,000, the bank keeps only a small fraction of it on hand. The rest, they lend it out to someone else who wants to buy a house, start a business, or finance a car. This system relies on the assumption that not everyone will show up at the same time to withdraw all their money. So, how do banks stay in business? They make a profit by charging borrowers a higher interest rate than the one they pay you for keeping your money with them. While this might sound risky, it's actually what keeps the economy moving. Plus, in places like the US, your deposits are insured by the government, meaning even if the bank runs out of cash, your money, up to a certain limit, is still guaranteed and safe. Interest, the silent engine of wealth and debt. Imagine you borrow $1,000, but when it's time to pay it back, you owe $1,280. Why? Because of interest. You can think of interest as rent paid for the privilege of using someone else's money. When you are the borrower, interest is the price tag. But when you are the saver or investor, interest is your reward for being patient. There are two ways this works. Simple interest is a flat fee, straightforward and predictable. Compound interest, however, is where the real magic or danger happens. This is interest earning interest. If you owe money on a credit card at 20% interest, compound interest is your worst enemy. A small balance can quickly snowball into a massive debt. But if you are investing, compound interest is like a cheat code for wealth. Over time, your money duplicates itself, growing faster and faster the longer you leave it alone. The secret is simple. If you're paying interest, kill it fast. If you're earning interest, give it time and let it grow. Inflation, the hidden erosion of value. Have you ever noticed that a bag of chips seems to have more air and fewer chips than it used to? Or that the price of your favorite snack has jumped 30% in just a year? That is inflation in action. Inflation is the process where money slowly loses its purchasing power over time. Your $5 bill is still a $5 bill, but it buys less gas, fewer groceries, and less of everything than it did 5 years ago. What causes this? It usually boils down to three things. 1. High demand. When everyone has extra cash and wants to buy the same products, businesses raise prices. 2. Rise in costs. If it becomes more expensive for a company to make a product due to higher wages or gas prices, they pass that cost on to you. 3. Expectations. If people expect prices to go up, they buy more now, which ironically forces prices to rise even faster. A little bit of inflation, around 2% a year, is actually considered healthy for a growing economy. But when it spikes too fast, your savings lose value and your wages can't keep up. To fight this, governments often raise interest rates to cool down spending and bring prices back under control. Recessions, when the music stops. Imagine the economy is like a giant party. The music is loud, everyone is dancing, and the drinks are flowing. In economic terms, this is a boom period. Jobs are plentiful and people are spending freely. But eventually, the lights flicker, the music changes to a somber tone, and reality sets in. This is a recession. Technically, a recession is defined as a decline in economic activity that lasts for at least 6 months. During this time, the boom turns into a bust. Businesses start to see fewer customers, so they cut costs, which often leads to layoffs. When people lose their jobs, they stop buying things they don't need, which makes the economy shrink even further. Why does this happen? It could be caused by many things: high interest rates making it too expensive to borrow, a global crisis like a pandemic, or simply the natural end of an economic cycle. While recessions are painful and can leave lasting scars, they are usually a reset for the system. Eventually, prices stabilize, businesses rebuild, and the cycle of growth begins all over again. Credit scores, your financial reputation. A credit score is like a shadowy algorithm that tracks your financial past. It's a 3-digit number, usually between 300 and 850, that tells lenders one simple thing: can I trust this person to pay me back? This number doesn't measure how much money you have in the bank, it measures your reliability. If your score is high, above 750, you're a gold star borrower and you'll get the lowest interest rates. If it's low, below 580, you're seen as a red flag, meaning banks will either reject your loans or charge you a massive interest rate to cover the risk. How is this score calculated? It's a mix of several factors. Payment history. Do you pay your bills on time? This is the most important factor. Credit utilization. How much of your available credit limit are you actually using? Credit age. How long have you been managing credit accounts? Think of your credit score like a pet. If you ignore it, it will eventually ruin your furniture and your life. But if you take care of it by making small, consistent payments, it will eventually help you buy a car or your dream home. In this game, looking good to a lender is just as important as being good with money. Currency, a shared illusion. The weirdest thing about money is that, in reality, it isn't actually real. Whether it's a paper bill, a gold coin, or a digital Bitcoin, money only works because of one thing: trust. In the past, humans traded physical goods, like a cow for a bag of grain, but that was difficult to scale, so we created money to make trading easier and to organize society. Today, the only reason a $100 bill can buy a high-end dinner while a plain piece of paper cannot is because we, as a society, have collectively agreed that the bill has value. It is a social construct. So how is this trust maintained? Governments print it, central banks regulate it. The balance is delicate. If the government prints too much money, it leads to hyperinflation, and your cash becomes as worthless as monopoly money. If there is too little money, the economy grinds to a halt because no one can afford to buy or sell anything. Ultimately, money is a global language of belief. As long as we all agree it's worth something, the system keeps spinning. Investing, making your money work for you. Now that you understand how inflation eats away at your savings, you need a defense strategy. That strategy is investing. Investing is the moment your money stops sitting around and starts working for you. Instead of trading your time for a paycheck, you are trading your money for more money. There are 4 main buckets where people typically put their money to grow. Stocks, you buy a tiny slice of ownership in a company. If the company succeeds, your slice becomes more valuable. Bonds, you essentially act as the bank and loan your money to a government or a corporation in exchange for interest. Funds, ETFs or index funds, a basket of many different stocks or bonds, so you don't have to bet on just one company. Real estate, buying property in the hope that its value increases or that someone else will pay you rent to live there. Investing isn't about being lucky or beating the market, it's about being early, diversified, and patient. Most wealthy people didn't win the lottery, they simply gave their money 20 or 30 years to grow through compound interest. The biggest risk isn't losing money in the stock market, it's never investing at all and watching inflation quietly steal your future.
Value and time, the ultimate assets. To truly master your finances, you must understand two final concepts: value and time. First, let's talk about value. Why does a doctor earn more than a cashier? Or why can a luxury brand charge $2,000 for a bag that costs $50 to make? It's because of perceived value. In the economic world, you don't get paid for how hard you work, you get paid for how much value you provide to others. Steve Jobs didn't get rich by working more hours than everyone else. He got rich by creating the iPhone, a tool that provided massive value to millions. If you want to increase your income, focus on increasing the value of your skills. But there is one asset more precious than money: time. Most people start with a lot of time but very little money. They trade their hours directly for a paycheck. However, the wealthiest people use time as a multiplier. In the world of investing, time is more powerful than luck or even a high salary. A small amount of money invested consistently in your 20s can grow into a fortune by your 60s, not because of magic, but because you gave it decades to grow. Wealth isn't built in days, it's built in decades. By understanding these concepts, taxes, banks, interest, and inflation, you stop being a victim of the system and start using the system to your advantage. Your financial journey is a marathon, not a sprint. Take care of your time, build your value, and let the math do the rest.